Hey everyone, welcome here to Musicians Edition. I'm Evan on the guitar. In this video we're going to be going into finger picking with the Travis picking style. So Travis picking is really popular in ragtime, blues, country, different kind of music like that. The key feature that is usually present in Travis picking is the alternating bass note. So it'll bounce back and forth between two different kinds of bass notes within the same chord. So we're going to look at two different styles of Travis picking. There are endless variations to this, but we're going to look at two of them that I like that are pretty popular. So let's go ahead. All right, so this is the first picking style for Travis picking we're going to look at. I think this one might be the most common. It's kind of the most basic that gets you the general idea of what Travis picking is. And then we'll look at one that's a little bit harder and a different variation of this. But this one is pretty much as straightforward as it gets. So all you need to do is fret the third fret of the E string, that's G, and then the rest are going to be played openly. And you can see we have 8 notes we're going to be playing. It's just going to be an even spacing of 8 notes, one right after each other. So that's going to sound like this. Okay, and that's staying on one chord there. We're going to transition and do a chord progression playing like that. But just kind of to break this down a bit more, you can hear that alternating bass note. So those two bass notes, we have the G, and then that other one is the open D that's going back and forth there. So we go low G, higher up, and then our next bass note on D there, and then higher up again. And that's our pattern. So even spacing, just all 8 notes, make sure you can practice that. The bigger challenge is going to be able to keep that rhythm while you move between different chords. So that's going to be what we look at next. Just to make sure you understand the finger picking to this, there's 2 options you could be using for this one. I'm going to put some close-ups up of what I am doing here. The first option would be you use all 4 fingers. So you use your thumb and your 3 fingers here, index, middle, and ring fingers. We're only playing 4 strings here, so you assign each one of those to 1 string. So my thumb would get the low E string, and then for those other 3 strings, they just go 1 in a row, index, middle, and ring. That's who gets assigned to each of those, and they don't stray away from those strings. That's how I like to play it. You can also play this in our option number 2 here, where your thumb is going to move between those 2 bass notes you play. So really your thumb plays every other note because it's going to make the jump from the low E up to the D string to play that one. Okay, so that's the 2 options you could be using for this one here. All right, and our next step is to make this a song. So just like what you would hear in songs that use Travis picking, we're going to go ahead and put a 4-chord progression to this and see if we can move our way between these chords and keep this going here. So we already know it with G. If you do want to play the full G pattern, that's what the chord box for G looks like. We only really need to press the 3rd fret here. Everything else is just going to be open because we don't use the other strings that are fretted. For these other ones, though, you're going to want to press the full chord. For C, that's going to be the next one. Hopefully you're familiar with C major. That's the chord box for it. 3rd fret, 2nd fret, and then 1st fret there. That is C major. And then our 3rd chord is going to be D major. So we're going to need 2nd fret, 3rd fret, and 2nd fret. That's the chord box for D major there for you to see. And we're going to finish with E minor. E minor is 2 2nd frets right there, so 2 fingers, and you got E minor. All right, so that's our 4 chords. Here's those chord boxes of all 4 in case you're not familiar with any of those. They're pretty basic chords. We're going to go ahead and just alternate between these while we keep this same pattern. The only thing that's going to change is our thumb is going to move to different root notes. And then for that D, since that's the top 4 strings, our entire hand is going to move up for that one. So we'll go ahead and practice each of those movements here. So our first chord, we already know how to play. That's G. So we're going to do 2 of those. Then we're going to go to our next one of C. So get in that C position. Here's the chord box for it again. Okay, and we're going to strum C, which is the A string, as our root note. We're going to go up to that open note, then down to that 2nd fretted, then up to that 1st fret. You can see our 4 strings we're playing there. Okay, that is C. Next one is D. We're going to jump up. Let's get into that D position. Look at the chord box for it. We want 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. So your thumb is playing that D string, that one that's being played openly. Then you're going to play that 3rd fret, 2nd fret, then up to that high E string, 2nd fret. There's our 4 strings we're going to play. Okay, that is D. All right, last one, E minor. So we're gonna go all the way back down, 2nd fret, 2nd fret here, back to our low E as the bass note, just like it was with G, and it's the same strings being played as it was on that first G chord. So assign your fingers to their strings, and we're off. Okay, there it is on the tab. One more time. Okay, so here's our full list of everything we just looked at. We have the G to the C to the D to the E minor. So we're going to keep that up there while we go ahead and run through it. So let's get into position. That G chord, all you really need again is that 3rd fret pressed. We're going to start with that one. 1, 2, here we go. Next is C. Get into that C position. And next is D. Let's move on over. And finish with E. Okay, so the biggest part is just making sure you can have smooth transitions between all of these while still keeping that rhythm. So go at whatever pace you need to be able to do that. Focus on one specific transition if there's one that's especially difficult for you. I think that C to the D is the hardest one in here. Getting set in that D position can kind of take a little bit of extra time. So play as slow as you need to be able to do all those, practice those difficult transitions. Here it is all the way through. All right, that is our full pattern. Go ahead and practice that one. That is your first Travis picking style. We're going to look at our next one now. All right, this one can be referred to as the pinch. That's our defining feature here. At the very first hit, we have 2 strings being played at the same time. In this example, we're playing G again. We're going to press the 3rd fret of the low E and the 3rd fret of the high E. So that is, for me, my ring finger and my pinky. All right, and I'm going to start off with a pinch of those 2 strings. Okay, so in this one there are 7 instances of notes being played as opposed to 8 to fill up the kind of 8 counts we're going to have here. And it's this first one that's going to hold for 1, 2, and then we're going to play the next one on the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, and then we'll get to the rest of it. So after that, we have the opened. So after that, look at the pattern and we'll see the strings there. We're going to be playing the D, G, and B strings, as well as coming back to that high E again. So you can see we're going to strum our way through that, or pluck our way through that. So let's go ahead and do our open pinch and figure out what strings we're going to play. There it is on the tab. And that last one in parentheses is an optional one you can do. It's pretty easy to throw in right now because we're not changing chords, but when we are changing chords and you might need a bit more time to change them, it might be hard to play that final string there. So you can cut that one out when we are practicing changing between those chords. I'll still play it for now though. Okay, so you can hear that pinch plays twice as long as the others, so I pinch and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so here's the close-up of how I do play that one. That pinch is done for me with my thumb and my ring finger. Okay, and after that pinch, my ring finger is going to stay assigned to that top E string. My thumb is going to bounce back and forth from this low E and the D string. And then my index and middle fingers get assigned to the other remaining 2 strings there. So my 3 fingers get the 3 highest. Thumb bounces back and forth between low E and the D string. Here's the close-up of how I played that. All right, nothing else to do but give ourselves that progression and practice changing between chords. Let's just do the same progression we just did to make things easy on ourselves. So we've got G, C, D, and then E minor, our same 4 chords, same 4 chord shapes for each of these. We're just going to apply our new pattern to it. So same thing as before, the root note's going to change as the root note of each of these chords changes. So our thumb's going to be moving up on the C and again on the D. So we're going to go ahead and follow that change. And then coming back down to the low E when we play that E minor at the end here. So here's the tabs for each of those. Let's go ahead and work our way through that G we already know how to play. And for C, let's go ahead and get into our shape. We're going to play that C along with the high E. So same kind of pattern with the strings otherwise. One more time. That's C. Next one is D, so let's get into that shape. Our D major chord shape. Our thumb's going to move up once again. There's going to be one sort of tricky thing in here where since there's no real room for us to go because we were playing on 5 different strings, we still want to play on 5 different strings, and that D kind of puts us in a tough pinch. So we're going to actually play at one point the A string, which is kind of like an A over D. And so we're going to go ahead and play D, and then move down that thumb to the A string. Go ahead and play that one more time. So first one starts with D, and then we actually move down the second time through that. So all these other ones, you had the lowest note being played first. This one has that lowest note being played in the middle, just because there's no real other root note or bass note for us to play with. That is D. Finishing with E minor. So E minor, we're going to go back to the same string arrangements that we were doing with G. So for E minor, pretty close to the same string arrangements we were doing with G. There's one change up I threw in here, and that's going to be a different string being played halfway through there. So compared to G, we played the D string midway. This one we're going to play the A string. You can see the difference between those there. On the E, it's where we play that 2, that second fret one there. So let's go ahead and play our way through that one. And there is where we're going to play that A string there, that second fretted A string. Okay, here it is again. All right, and we've got the idea. Now the game is just being able to switch between these with your fretting hand and then getting that strumming hand in position for each of the changes where you're going to be playing different strings. But yeah, go ahead and practice that and you'll have it done in no time. So here it is all the way through a bit slowly. So we start with G. Get ready to C, and actually for this one, let's take out those parentheses notes. We're not going to play those since those were optional anyway. Let's make these transitions a bit easier, give ourselves more time to adjust. So again, G, let's take out that parenthesis. And move. And get ready to move. minor. And loop it back. That's our pattern. Eventually we can always pick up our speed, but go at whatever speed is comfortable for you. Take out that ending parenthesis note that was optional anyway, so you can practice making those changes as soon as you pluck that last string. You don't have to wait, just go ahead and get ready. Sometimes that last string, if it was played openly, still rings out anyway. In most of these, that last string is openly, yeah. So get up early and move to that next one as soon as you can after you do that last one. And that's it. So we have gotten 2 Travis picking styles down, a pretty basic standard one, and then this pinch one that's a bit more advanced. So I hope that helps you get the idea behind Travis picking. In both of these, we had that kind of alternating bass note being played. In this one, you can see it again on that G. And there's our second bass note there being played on the D string. With C, it was right there in the middle. And D, we had it with the one that was actually lower, right there, and with E. Okay, so that is the main kind of signature style to this Travis picking. You can see there's these 2 patterns we did are very different from each other. That's usually the key characteristic, but there's a whole lot of room to work with otherwise, so you're going to see endless different kinds of patterns being used in songs, different variations of these. But that is the main idea. So I hope you have fun playing. Go out and find some songs that use Travis picking or make up your own with your own chords. Have fun playing, and we'll see you next time.